These are programs for every single New Yorker. These are not programs that are going to ask the immigration status of any one of the children. All of those children are New Yorkers. They should all be enrolled in pre-K and 3K, no matter where they were born or where they come from.
My question is about the program you just described, which is, as you know, the ICE, they are having raid and operation all over the city. They increase their operation since few days, and people are kind of scared. So as you starting your program, what is the safety and security of the parents who are going to the center and dropping the kids, and when they're coming, if they're rounded up by the ICE, what is your message to them? How you are going to ensure their safety and security? And then she mentioned about the cultural sensitivity. Just related with this, cultural sensitivity in food. How we are going to make sure that the Muslims, Jews, and others, they will be there, and they have a food sensitivity as well, like halal and kosher. Yeah. So if you can just specify this.
I think we've made important strides on halal and kosher meals, and I think that is work that needs to continue to be done. And I also know that we are less than a month away from the beginning of Ramadan, and so these are issues that will only continue to come to the fore. I'll say to your first question that, just to put it very clearly, these are programs for every single New Yorker. These are not programs that are going to ask the immigration status of any one of the children. All of those children are New Yorkers. They should all be enrolled in pre-K and 3K, no matter where they were born or where they come from. And we are also proud to be a sanctuary city. What a sanctuary city means is that we have policies in place, policies that have existed for years in this city, that deny ICE agents access into schools, hospitals, city properties, or even the properties of city contractors, unless those ICE agents can present a judicial warrant signed by a judge. We know that the vast majority of the time, ICE agents are not presenting that kind of documentation. If they're presenting any documentation, it tends to be an administrative warrant, and oftentimes there isn't any documentation even provided. So we want to make clear the rights of every New Yorker that they have in the city, these programs being available to all, and the fact that we are proud of our values, we are proud of our laws, they keep us safe, and they are also part and parcel of who we are.
Yeah, I'm just going to, before we take the next question, I'll remind folks again kindly, one question at a time, please, so we can get to as many people as possible. And Manzoor, you want to go next?
Thank you very much for having all of us, and also fulfilling your great initiative. You talk about this initiative during your campaign. My question is, it's a very high quality childcare program, so which you already mentioned during the campaign. So how this program will affect the communities of color, and can you define what is pre-K, and for our viewers who have language barrier, what is pre-K and 3K, and what kind of resources are you going to spend to send this message across the board? Yeah. Thank you very much.
So I really appreciate this question, because I think oftentimes in government, we become married to the language of government, and we get divorced from the reality of New Yorkers outside of government. So to put it very simply, this is childcare for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. This is childcare that we are delivering to every single family that applies for it, and it is free. And this is part of the $1.2 billion we secured from the state in funding, goes towards fixing these programs. So the importance of this is that no matter what neighborhood you live in, no matter what zip code you have, you deserve the same level of quality in the childcare you are receiving. We hold every classroom to the same standards, every classroom to the same ratios between children and teachers, every classroom to the same mission of delivering a high quality public good to each and every New Yorker. And in the prior year, there was an allocation of about $5 million in funding for the outreach work of New York City Public Schools. So New York City Public Schools is currently utilizing that previously allocated funding. We are talking about funding that can have outreach teams, funding that can have posters on sidewalks or in a barbershop, funding that will ensure that New Yorkers are hearing this again and again and again until February 27th, because that is the deadline to sign up. And we want them to know that this is a program for them. It's a program they deserve. It's a program that belongs to the city that they call home. They should sign up for it. I mean, I don't know if you'd add or if you'd feel free.
I think I would just add, particularly to your question about what does this look like for families? I think that we would encourage families who may not be sure what an early childhood program looks like to go out and visit the programs in their community. We also have resources through the My Schools website and for families who want to talk with program leaders directly and get a better sense of what it might look like. Children in New York City's early childhood programs have an opportunity to learn through play and to grow and develop, which we know builds really strong, important social emotional skills and helps them get ready for elementary school and beyond. We also offer many programs that have instruction in language other than English for children who speak another language at home and want the opportunity, their families want the opportunity for them to learn both in English and in their native language. It's also a wonderful way for families who maybe don't speak that language at home but want to reconnect with a family heritage or have an opportunity to build connections with their neighbors in other cultural communities. And we offer early childhood programs in a range of different settings inside public schools, but also in community-based programs and with home-based providers, many of whom speak another language themselves and may offer a setting that for families who are looking for something that looks and feels familiar to them, that may reflect that as well.
Thank you. Yes, from Korea Daily, New York. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jie Yoon, and I'm from Korea Daily, New York. And thank you for offering this opportunity. And I have a question about waitlist. So, during the interview with people, families often tell us they apply but are ultimately placed on waitlist or receive no placement. So, what steps is the city taking this year to reduce waitlist and increase successful placement?
Yeah, if you want to jump in, Rhonda.
Sure. Thank you for your question about waitlist, because I think that sometimes families are often confused. And so we would love to clear that up. So waitlist is a mechanism for families to get closer to or their actual most preferred choice. As we all know, whenever you're applying, we're asking for families to rank their choices. And if they don't get their first or top choice, they are automatically added to the waitlist for their top choices. So for an example, if you got an offer to your fourth choice, we would assume that you would still want, if possible, to get your third, second, and first choice if a seat became available. So therefore, you are added to the wait list for that. Because you are on a wait list, it does not mean that you don't have an offer. And I think sometimes families are confused, or sometimes when families are saying that they're on the wait list, other folks are confused and think that that meant that they didn't have an offer. As the mayor has mentioned before at the top of this conversation, if you apply by the deadline, you will get a seat. So we will try to, of course, give you your most preferred choice. But if you don't, then you would be added on the wait list. And we think that that's just the best way for us to continue to monitor and for you to monitor, because you could actually see in My Schools your position on the wait list, which will change. As families get their offer, then you move up in the wait list. And so we believe that that transparency also helps for you to know if you're going to get your choice or not. And the wait list is open until the middle of September. I don't have the date right now. Sorry. And I think that that is something that we're still trying to figure out. So that is one thing. And your other question, just to emphasize, if you apply by the deadline, which is February 27th, and we encourage every family to apply, you will get an offer.
I would just add as well, and I think the mayor has reflected this, but we are adding additional capacity this year, looking at neighborhoods where maybe families did get an offer last year, but it was just too far from home. And so we will be adding additional 3K spots across the city to ensure that families get an option that works for them.
Mariama?
How you guys doing? I had a question about enrollment as well. So When I looked at the statistics, Black and Latino parents have like a pretty sharp drop off when it comes to enrollment rates. And they surveyed if there was interest, and apparently that's not really a factor in how they fill out their applications. For some reason, there's a gap between the application and the enrollment for Black and Latino parents. And my question is, how do you improve the lottery system to make sure that they're, one, filling out the whole application or getting a chance to fill it out all the way, and then they're getting a seat that they actually want, because apparently location is a big factor when they're off.
I think I'll just add a few things here. When we secured on January 8th the $1.2 billion commitment from the governor and the state to deliver universal childcare, a significant portion of that was towards delivering childcare for 2-year-olds in a manner that has never been done before in our city. However, we should not lose sight of the fact that, as Emmy had mentioned, there is a portion of that funds that is dedicated to fixing the issues of childcare for 3-year-olds and for 4-year-olds. And some of it is what has just been referred to right now, the need to increase capacity, the need to, and by doing so, to increase our ability to meet the needs of New Yorkers. Because if New Yorkers are not choosing to opt into the system, it's a reflection of inadequacies in the system itself. And so that's what we are working to rectify. I think the other aspect of this is we do not believe that we have exhausted every tool at our disposal to communicate to New Yorkers about this kind of a program. I think even just to Manzoor's question, so much of the language that is often used to talk about these programs, most New Yorkers might not instinctively understand it because it's not language of how we describe it ourselves in our own lives. So what we are looking at for these next, little more than a month is every single possibility we have to what we call now GOTC, get out the childcare. Right? In elections, you talk about GOTV, get out the vote. Now it's GOTC, get out the childcare. Because we want every New Yorker to know about this program. And frankly, the value of a program, you cannot even assess it if New Yorkers do not know of the program. And this is one that's meant to serve them.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.